welcome back to What Cat Reads. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. I'm going to look over this month, what I read in May. I know we're about 5 days into the month when this will post, but I do want to kind of give an update of what I read during May. And if you have watched my June TBR, some of this will not be a surprise because there will be some books that I did not finish in May, but that I will finish in June. The first book that I read was during the final book support group, and that was Firefly, The Magnificent Nine. This is one of those books that takes place between the only season of Firefly and the movie. This one was fun. It was one of those that the big twist at the end was not a twist if you follow the movie. Or what, I guess twist is the wrong word. It was not a big surprise that the ending came out the way it did, because if it had, I think we would have seen Jane act very differently in the movie than we saw him act. But this was a good one. I really enjoyed it. We see Jane, we see all of the characters, Captain Mal, Zoe, Anara, Wash, River, and Simon. I think that's everyone. And then we do meet some new characters, such as Jane's old relationship that Jane had in the past, along with some new characters that we find out. This one was fun. I'm really enjoying this series because we get a little backstory on we get backstory for each of the characters that we missed in the series since it was canceled after just one. And I love that Joss Whedon is kind of at least lending his ideas to the to James Lovegrove, because we kind of get where the series was. We get more continuity, and you can kind of rely a little more, and this is how the writers kind of would have done it originally. So that is the first book I read during the month. The next two that I'm going to talk about, I do not have physical copies of. I read them for the 72 hours Smut Den that the Late Night Crew did. And they had a wheel, and you spun the wheel, and it gave you a prompt, and you had to figure out a book to read for that prompt that was a romance. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I found some new authors that I am going to continue with, at least one of them. But the sorry, I have it on my phone. The first one was In Peace Lies Havoc by Amo Jones. This one was a fun one because while there were some spicy scenes in it, there also was a lot of plot. And that's one thing that, sometimes we kind of complain about, is it's all the spicy scenes or it's all plot. There's not a good mix of both. In this one, there was a great mix. I really enjoyed it. I did have the advantage of Mel was reading it. One of the hosts for the Smut Den was reading it. And so there were things in there that when, you look at the original cover and it's this gorgeous canvas top, or canvas tint. Because the whole thing is a circus, is following a circus troupe. and the circus doesn't play as big of a role in it. Like, you would think you would get more the Night Circus vibes from it. This is more Sons of Anarchy type thing. They're bikers. Their act involves their motorcycles, and it's a lot of fun overall as a book. But if you're going into it looking for those circus vibes, you definitely are going to be a little disappointed that there's only one real scene under the big top. But it was a good one, and I really enjoyed it. Will I continue that series? Maybe not. The writing was good, but where it ended didn't keep me like, oh my goodness, I have to keep reading. Unlike the next one that I read for the 72-hour Smut Den, which is The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. That one is a dark Peter Pan and Wendy retelling. The main premise of that one is that the Darling family has been cursed, and on their 18th birthday, Peter Pan comes and takes the Darling girl and takes her off to Neverland for however long. Sometimes they're only there for a night, sometimes they're there for weeks, sometimes months. But this one follows, sorry, I have forgotten the main character. And it doesn't say. Okay. But this follows the Darlings, and it's following one relative or one descendant in particular. And throughout the book, you find why Pan is kidnapping these women, and what his purpose is. One of my favorite parts with this one is the just kind of the vibe we get. It's you have Faye, you have Peter Pan, you have all of this, but Neverland is kind of dying, and you don't understand why at first. But as you go through the book, you kind of learn. This one is one that I am looking at reading the dark one during the month of June. So I will go from there. The writing is good. And there is that mix of plot with the spicy scenes. But it's not for everyone. There are some elements in there. It is dark. It is very dark. And there are a lot of, as the trigger warning puts it, there are a lot of touch her and I'll unalive you vibes with it. And so Peter Pan is very possessive of his darlings. And so you just kind of follow it from there. The next book that I read, I kind of didn't, like, my month started out slow. So Firefly, I started, then I took the weekend off to do the Smut Den. Then I finished Firefly. And then it was time for Becca's Bookopoly-a-thon, 48-hour Bookopoly-a-thon. And that I kind of gave in my vlog an update of what I was reading throughout that. A lot of fun. You're more than welcome to go and check that video out. But one of the books that I read, and I don't remember the prompts, so, but one of the books I read was actually continuing this series, Neon Gods by Katie Roberts. And the book I read was Electric Idol. It's the second in that series, the first following Hades and Persephone. This one follows Persephone's sister. I'm really horrible about names, so hold on. Psyche and Eros. So throughout this one, we have Psyche and Eros and their relationship and how it builds. And again, it follows that the tropes of arranged marriage, or well, I guess it's really escaping an arranged marriage, marriage of convenience. What are the other tropes in that one? Forced proximity. Yeah. So we have with these ones, the first two books really followed kind of the same backbone, but have a lot of the details are different. And so as we follow the series, we see Demeter is trying to marry off her daughters to Zeus. And the whole world is set up as kind of a modern day Olympus. There are some roles like Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon are passed down through the family line, but the others are kind of elected into those roles by the people. And so as we see these different gods working together and trying different things, we see their children, in this case being Persephone, Eros, Psyche, and Hades even, just kind of trying to figure out who they are and what they want, and whether it's the roles that their parents have set out for them. But this one does follow Psyche and Eros. It was a lot of fun. It is, again, a dark romance. And if listening to this, you think that's all I read, it is not. For me to actually read 3 dark romances in 1 month was extremely rare for me. I do not normally read that much romance. I do like my sci-fi and my fantasy. But this was a fun read. And we just kind of get to see who Katie Roberts imagines these characters to be, and their lives and everything else. The next book that I read during Bookopoly-a-thon was The Green Ember by S.D. Smith. This one follows a rabbit sibling pair. It's a sister and a brother. And their adventures in trying to overcome the evil that's in their world. I definitely got Narnia vibes, especially Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader vibes from this one. But it's also kind of got a Rats of Nim type of vibe as well. It is a middle grade, and was a lot of fun just to read and kind of get that shift away from all the dark romances I had read. I really enjoyed it. S.D. Smith did a great job writing this. There's lots of adventure. There's some peril in it. There's a little bit of having to come out of your parents' shadow, and finding out what that shadow really was. This little rabbit family was a little more isolated due to their family running away before they were born. But we kind of, it's definitely that good versus evil that all kids love, even as adults we love. But it's got that theme, the hopeful theme running throughout it, that sometimes I miss when reading adult good versus evil stories. And so this one was definitely a fun one. After I've read The Green Ember, I picked up House of Salt and Sorrow. This one had actually been on my TBR for way, way too long. This one came out 2019, so I probably bought it at the beginning of 2020. But it just sat on my TBR shelf. I couldn't find a good reason to pick it up. I ended up needing it for Becca's Bookopoly-a-thon, and so I had it. It fit prompts. This one is following a family of sisters throughout the book. You find out that the family's almost like they're cursed. The daughters start dying, and you aren't exactly sure why. So it's got that fantastical elements, but it's also got a lot of family drama in it, and kind of a mystery throughout it too, of why all these people start dying. Not just ones in there, not just the sisters, but also people connected with the sisters. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I did enjoy it. I listened to this one on audiobook and really, really had a good time, and was surprised that I hadn't read it before that. And my sister was like, how have you not read this? So this was a good one. After I finished that one, I had picked up, I did this one first. I had started Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. This one follows a woman who had been incarcerated for 4 years. When she was sent to prison, she finds out that she's pregnant, has the baby, and the baby is taken in by the baby's dad's parents. And when Kenna, the main character, goes back to the town, she wants to have a relationship with her daughter. She's never met her. She's never even seen her, as we find out through the story, because the baby was born a couple weeks early and had to go immediately to the NICU. And so instead of getting some bonding time that inmates are usually given, she was not, and the grandparents sued for custody due to the crime that was committed. And the book goes through all of that. But we have this story of her trying to find out who her daughter is and to be a part of her daughter's life. When she comes to town, she tries to go to a bookstore that she used to visit the 5 years previous, but it is now a bar. And so she goes to the bar, meets the bartender, and throughout the book we kind of see their relationship develop. And the twists and turns that Colleen Hoover takes us on through that were a lot of fun. This is one that surprisingly did not tear me apart. Most of the other Colleen Hoover books I've read, I normally end up in a puddle. This one did not. There were troubles in it, there were hardships in it, but it didn't rip my heart out the same way. I did not end up needing days and days to recover from this. And I didn't even cry in this one, which really surprised me. And then the final book I read during May, or that I'm counting it for my May, is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. This one my sister and I buddy read. This was a surprisingly quick read. We went, oh, let's read for 45 minutes and then we'll check back in and go from there. We finished the book in a day, which, again, did not expect at all. I figured it would take me a few days and that I wouldn't get anything else started during May. I had a lot of fun with this one. This follows a... I think she's 11 or 12. A young preteen, Olivia Pryor is her name. And she is told, she lives in a girl's home, and the only thing she has from her mom is her mom's journal. And in her mom's journal, she gives her a warning never to go to Gallant, which is the home of Mom. But there comes a point that she gets a letter from her uncle calling her home. And when she arrives at Gallant, she finds out that her uncle's been dead for a while, and no one else wrote the letter. And as far as I know, Dad didn't even write her uncle didn't even write the letter. And so she's just trying to figure out where she fits in. Because here she thought she was a part of something. That she was part of this family and that she was wanted. And then she kind of finds out that she's not wanted there either. But she sees, even in the girl's home, she can see ghosts. Most of the ghosts are not fully formed, and she can't always see them straight on. It's kind of in the peripheral vision, and the book goes through on why she can see them and the different aspects of that. This does have, if you're looking or enjoy portal fantasies, this does have a little bit of a portal fantasy feel. And so there's that. It did remind me a lot of Coraline. And there was one that my sister said it reminded her of. I can't remember now. But this was a great one. If you're looking to kind of get into V.E. Schwab, she does write kind of across the age groups. She writes middle grade, she writes young adult, she writes adult. This is a great one to, if you're just trying to dip your toe in. It's a quick read, and it will definitely give you those kind of fun vibes. I definitely would recommend this to anyone. And the only thing that leaves me with is my DNF book. I did start during the 72-hour Smut-a-thon a book called What Lies Beyond the Veil by Adelaide Forrest. This one, I did read the reviews before I picked it up. And everyone was, it's a very played out trope. And as far as I got into it, it is. It felt very much like Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses. And there are a lot of books that kind of follow that theme. It's set up as there's a veil between the Fae world and the human world. And the premise of the book is somehow or another a human girl ends up on the other side of the veil in captivity of a Fae. And I started it, and it was one that, like, as I was reading it, I was enjoying the new aspects, but there weren't enough new aspects added to that backbone that kept me in it. I really felt like I was reading another book that followed the same Fae-human relationship that we've seen in so many books. And everyone warned about that in the comments, and I thought I could get past it, and I could not. Normally, if I have a little bit of forewarning, I can move past it. This one, I could not at all. I didn't really get too far into it. There is some aspects of sexual harassment, which probably bothered me more than I realized at the time. And so it was one that we got done with the 72-hour smut-a-thon. It was my last book that I had picked up, and I only had a few hours, and I went, you know what? I'm done. I'm good. So I DNF'd that one. But I did get 8 books read, which kind of surprised me when I got through, especially at the start of the month. It took me 17 days to read Firefly. It wasn't until the 14th that I really kind of picked up steam. So really, to get 8 books in about 2 weeks was really really good, and I really enjoyed myself. I think May was pretty much a success. You will notice though that I did not give star ratings for these books, because I am more of one, I either enjoy a book or I don't. It's very rare for books to get 1 or 2 stars from me, because if I'm feeling it's a 1 or a 2 star, I'm just gonna DNF it. If I'm not enjoying a book, I'm gonna just set it down. I have no problem anymore. I am a recovering completionist, but with books, I have no problem just closing a book and saying, I'm done. That's good for me. So this was it was a great month. I read these 4 physical books with some audio, kind of following along the audio in House of Salt and Sorrows, and a little bit in Reminders of Him. And then lots of ebooks. I got 4 ebooks that I read this month. So about half and half, physical versus ebook. And I knocked 2 off of my TBR cart that have been there since before 2022, which was a big goal of mine. So that's what I've got. How was your reading month in May? Leave me a comment to let me know. Hit like if you enjoyed this video, and if you are enjoying what I bring, please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.